What do you feel when you look at these images? Curiosity? Beauty? Fear? I can't be the only one who has seen these pictures and was amazed by how sublime they look. And also a bit terrified, but that's if we consider the real implications of something like this. But if we did, would something like this even be possible? And if so, how would it look? Well, surprisingly, you don't have to look that far to find views that fit the picture. For example, the view of Mars from its moons Deimos and Phobos. Okay, now I'm excited to see how good it must look from Mars. Wait, where's Phobos? That's Phobos? Isn't that just an asteroid or something? Yes it is. Apparently anything orbiting a planet counts as a moon, whether it be a small meteor or pretty much a planet that makes its own planet move around. So size doesn't matter for it to count as a moon, which is why Saturn, for example, has the most moons, since its rings alone is probably way more than enough for the mantle. Which I'm sorry, Phobos fans, if you're out there, doesn't really count in my opinion. For me personally, when I think of a moon, I think of an object which is at least somewhat comparable to the planet itself, because if we're going by the logic of anything counts as a moon, in that case man-made satellites should count as well, since they also orbit the Earth. Yet we all know that doesn't count. That's like saying constellations look like what they're named after. This is supposed to be a bear, by the way. Needless to say, space stuff doesn't always have the strictest criteria for something to be something. Except the one time they invented a whole rule just to make Pluto a dwarf planet. I see how it is. So even though it would be easy to call our search there, it doesn't count. And a similar thing happens with the other planets where the views are possible. But of course from asteroids. Or in the case of Titan, where Saturn would have been 10 times larger than the moon in the sky, with its rings being even larger, being completely covered up by dense clouds. Nice. I did try looking up exoplanets with close moons, but Google doesn't quite know, I guess. It pretty much only references our solar system. But thankfully there are outliers that actually do count. For example, Charon and Pluto, which is probably one of the craziest examples in the solar system, because Charon is nearly as big as Pluto itself. Another real example are the Galilean moons of Jupiter, which are the moons in this orbit, by the way. The closest of them being Io, but that being said, I couldn't find anything besides some potentially accurate or inaccurate photos and a 240p video from 2009. Nice. Needless to say that we pretty much have no actual photos of views like this, since people for some reason prioritize documenting planets for scientific reasons rather than getting epic selfies. Like, come on. Now, as you can see, there aren't much examples of this out there, since celestial objects being this close to one another requires the two to be in an extremely rare Goldilocks zone, where they are close enough to be shown spectacularly, but also far enough so that they won't collide or rip each other apart. If you Google it yourself, you will find that there is something called the Roche limit, which refers to this, which is a fancy way of saying the closest distance a moon can be to a planet, without the planet tearing it apart because of the planet's gravity. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Every planet has its own Roche limit. The Earth's is 9,500 kilometers. How far away is the moon currently? It's currently 384,400 kilometers away. So the moon can get 40 times closer? Okay, now I'm excited to see what that looks like. Why is there like only one image about what it would look like? Okay, I guess maybe we can go into Blender and see what it will look like. If we keep the Earth to grid proportions the same, it should be fine. Now, this is what it looks like. With the actual distance, which is pretty far. Most of space is pretty empty after all. But we didn't open Blender to check what the moon looks like normally. No, we came here to see how close the moon can get realistically. It's time for the Roche limit. And this is what that looks like. This is quite the view. It's unfortunate that if this truly was what looks in our sky, there would probably be no one alive to see it. Even though it is possible for a moon to be this close to us without being torn to shreds, that doesn't mean we won't be by the absolutely massive waves caused by the moon being this close to us. But hey, it's cool to dream sometimes, right?